Call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson? Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item is the moment of silence to be led by our board vice president.
As we begin this meeting, let us pause for a 60-second moment of silence to reflect, meditate, pray, or engage in any other silent activity. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. It will be led by Emily Bitsui, a fifth grade student at Liberty Elementary.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. My name is Emily Bitsui. I'm in fifth grade at Liberty Elementary. There are many opportunities to contribute at Liberty. I participate in yearbook, choir, safety patrol, school service, and Edgenuity. One of my favorite things about Liberty is yearbook club. We meet once a week on Thursdays. Each person in yearbook is assigned a section of pages. We are responsible for the layout, design, choosing pictures, and editing the pages. Some of the pages I am responsible for include a class page, the pumpkin run, Veterans Day, and the cover. Another activity I choose to participate in is choir. We meet once a week before school, and there are several performances throughout the year. I am very excited to have been cast as Salesman 4 in our upcoming performance of The Music Man, which will be performing right here at the PAC. I really enjoy contributing to our school community. Another way in which I am able to do this is by participating in school service, helping teachers on Friday afternoons. Another way to volunteer my time is by after-school safety patrol. A set of jobs are defined such as crosswalk safety, bus safety, car rider safety, and bike safety. Each week we rotate through the assigned jobs helping keep our school safe. I am also pleased to be a part of the pilot program for Edgenuity at Liberty. The program is designed for us to work ahead online for advanced math placement. It is quite a time commitment, but well worth the effort. There are so many opportunities at Liberty to be involved. There are too many to list. Thank you for the opportunity to share some of my favorites today.
Thank you, Emily. We appreciate it. Do you have anybody to introduce to us? Anybody here with you tonight?
Well, I have my mom, my brother, Joey, my grandma and grandpa, Dorinda, and Pat Lawrence.
Okay, do you mind if we take a picture up here and they can maybe come up here and take a picture too? Mm-hmm. All right.
Before we move move to formally adopt the agenda, there are several consent agenda items that we will be pulling out into the regular portion of the meeting. Item number 12 will be moved to item number 30. Item number 23 will move to item number 31. And item number 10 will move to item number 32. If there aren't others that are brought forward at this time, I would entertain a motion to formally adopt the agenda.
Make a motion with the proposed changes.
Second.
We have a motion and second to formally adopt the agenda with the noted changes. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes. The next item are the minutes of the December 14th, 2015 regular board meeting. If there are questions, certainly I would entertain those at this time. If not, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the December 14th, 2015 regular board meeting minutes. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes. The next item, under Summary of Awards and Achievements, I would like to introduce at this time up to the podium Ms. Lisa Jones. She is currently the Tulsa Business and Legal News Editor.
Good evening. It's been a long time since I've been here. I used to come every Monday to the school board meetings, well, not every Monday, but every Monday school board meeting, and cover it for the Broken Arrow Ledger. And so it's fun to be back. I miss you guys. Not really. I hated these meetings. But it's my least favorite part of the job. I'll just say it right now. So
We all love being here. We really do.
But I will say that it was a pleasure to come and honor Dr. Mendenhall tonight, and you will know that how much that I do appreciate him by my willingness to come tonight. So I wanted to pay tribute to him. Since becoming Broken Arrow School Superintendent in 2010, Dr. Jared Mendenhall has led the district through a comprehensive strategic planning process. He's overseen the district's largest bond construction, opened 4 new early childhood centers, 2 elementary schools, and 1 new middle school, and the high school starting to resemble, as you all know, a college campus. At Tulsa Business and Legal News, we believe he deserves much of the credit, and it is for that reason that we have selected him as a 2015 Man of Distinction.
Well, I would just like to say thank you very much. You know, I have always said this, and I think they quoted me as stating this as well. A lot of the credit goes to the people that I'm looking at, and the people that are up here. I can't do what I do without a great Board of Education. You always talk about the the night I first came for an interview, and I'd gone out to buy a brand new suit. I was so excited, had my I used to call it a satchel. It was my briefcase, and had all my stuff ready to go. And of course, that night it rains. It rains really, really bad. And I get out of my truck out here, and I'm like a drowned rat when I walk through the dang door. And I thought, I cannot believe of all days it decides to rain in February. But long story short, you know, I interviewed that night. And I remember leaving thinking, gosh, I hope I get the opportunity to lead this school district. And from that moment all the way to today, every single day, there's not a day that I don't think about this job or think about what it is to do what I do, and that is to make this a great place for kids, to make this a great place for our community, and more than that, a place that we all can be proud of. So I do appreciate all the people. It does take more than just a superintendent. It takes a great Board of Education. It takes a lot of great administrators. I talk about my cabinet a lot. They get a lot of the good, bad, and the ugly. When you live with a family, they are like family, and when you live with them every day, they know that we have good days, we have bad days, but I will tell you the thing that we always keep number one in our focus is how can we make this a better place for kids? The culminating thing has been this semester. I can't even describe all the things, all the great things that have been happening. I mean, if you look at the Grand National Championship, if you look at playing in the state championship in football, if you look at, even a little lip dub that gets 1.5 million views. I mean, all of those things are all kid things. And so I'm very proud of what we do here in Broken Arrow. People are noticing. People want to be a part of it. So thank you to you. Thank you, board members. I appreciate what you've done. And Lisa, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Dr. Mendenhall, I would like to add just a couple of comments there, just to say that I certainly was there several years ago during that interview process. And I would say, and I appreciate very much, Dr. Mendenhall, your words in saying that this is more than just an award that the superintendent receives. There's certainly a significant number of people that each and every day do their job and do it very well. And that goes directly to the many successes that we've had over the number of years since Dr. Mendenhall has come. Certainly we realize that there's leadership in every area of our organization. And yes, while there are leaders in the organization that take part as teachers, as support employees, as administrators, and certainly as board members or as the superintendent, we cannot do it without each of you. So I want to just thank each of you, and certainly thank you, Dr. Mendenhall, for all the work that you continue to do. Continue working with us as a school community to do the very best for our kids. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda are the comments from the public. Seeing that there are none, we'll move to the next item, which are the reports to the board, and we currently are going to have a report from the Broken Arrow Education Association. Ms. Katie Cook.
Good evening. I have two things. First of all, we met back in December to discuss our negotiated agreement. We reopened negotiations to discuss how that would affect teachers with embedded collaboration that we're doing next year. We put a vote to the certified teachers, and the vote passed 439 yes to 35 no. So everybody was in favor of the changes that we made. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about and invite you to, BAEA has created a group called the GO campaign, and GO stands for Grassroots Organizing. And we surveyed our membership back in November and got some really good feedback about issues that are facing teachers, and we've passed that on to administration here. But we are going to have a public forum that's open to parents, teachers, administrators, anybody that wants to come. And I have a flyer for you guys. And Amber England from stand.org is also going to be there to talk about the proposed penny sales tax that they are bringing up this year. So we'd like for you guys to attend if you can.
Thank you very much for that report. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, and let me again say that we are looking at approving items 9 through 39 with the exception of item 12, item 23, and item 10. Outside of those, I've had no others brought to my attention, so I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to move the consent agenda items 9 through 39 with the exception of item 12, 23, and 32. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Miss Kelly.
Yes. I have a slight, I don't have a voting button. Techno problem. Do you have a voting button? I hope it won't do that.
There we go.
Here we go.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is item number 12, which is moved to item number 30. Ms. Michelle Bergwall.
Thank you. I wasn't sure if I was next or if we moved 10 ahead of us. I actually think we need to do item 29 first, which is also in my section, if that would be okay. Or do you want to go ahead and do number 30?
Go ahead and move, go ahead and do it in the order that I indicated.
Okay.
So 29 will go first.
29. Actually, no, we are sticking with item number 12
Was 30.
is 30, yes. So
So-
that's the first one that we're,
Item 20.
But don't we need to address item 29
Okay,
first
hang
before
on.
we do 30?
hang on. Okay, so that I don't cause any further confusion, Ms. Birdwell, go ahead and do as you had indicated. Move forward.
Okay. Item 29, we are asking for your approval tonight to enter into contract to purchase a parcel of land just northeast of our high school campus. It's an 80-acre tract that we discussed last month in executive session. We have negotiated within the terms we outlined in that executive session, and I am asking for your authorization to go ahead and purchase that land or enter into contract on that land for a price of $2.3 million for the 80 acres.
Okay.
I was just issue questions.
Are there any questions?
Recommend approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second to approve a real estate sales contract for the purchase and land situated in Wagner County, Oklahoma, and authorize the chief operating officer to negotiate and close on the property within the terms discussed previously in the executive session. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Miss Kelly.
Yes, and Ms. Birdwell, I apologize to you.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate you pulling it from consent so that I could give some credit where credit is due on item now number 30. The Roads PTA has worked very hard for the last 3 to 4 years to earn enough funds to create an outdoor classroom at Rhodes. This will include 7 of the new district standard benches and also a concrete pad for those benches. They've worked with our operations department to locate that appropriately so we don't create any drainage problems or anything. And so we would like to accept their donation tonight. And in the back of the room, I have Miss Tara Ross, Miss Allison Skipper, if they'll wave, and Miss Annika Beard with the Rhodes PTA here to ask you to accept that donation.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the donation of $8,654 from the Rhodes Elementary PTA for concrete and benches that will be installed to create an outdoor classroom. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Miss Kelly.
Yes.
Thank you.
And you know
We-
you don't
we
have
s-
voting buttons.
No, we won't, 'cause it's on consent.
Yeah, we're still on the consent.
Really, well, I'd like to just say thank you very much, Rhodes PTA. That's meaningful that you guys would stand up and do that. So I know that you're giving back to the kids and all of that, but I know that you've had to raise money and do those kinds of things to be able to give back to those students. So great culture there at Rhodes, and a lot of that is credit to the principal and the teachers, but also the parents and groups of people that have been attached to Rhodes. So I appreciate that very much.
The next item is item number 23 out of the consent, which has been moved to 31. So item 23, Jason Jadamski.
Good evening, President Kelly, members of the board, and Dr. Mendenhall. This item would We're asking you to approve this item. What it would do is it would allow Broken Arrow High School to host the State Student Council Convention in 2017. There's a mistake on there. It says 2016 in one spot, and it gives you the dates in 2017. It would be in 2017.
Okay, so the motion then would need to be changed to reflect 2017. And so when we move that, I'll make certain that I indicate that. If there are no questions, I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second. We have a motion and second to approve the new agreement between Broken Arrow Public Schools and Oklahoma Association of Student Councils allowing Broken Arrow High School to host the 2017 OASC State Convention scheduled for November 17th through the 13th, 2017. There is no cost to the district. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item on the agenda is item number 10, being moved to item number 32.
Good evening, President Kelly, Dr. Mendenhall, members of the board. Tonight, I'm bringing to you a renewal agreement with First National Bank of Broken Arrow. And this renewal agreement is to be one of our One Club sponsors. Now, they have been a partner with us for several years, but this new agreement, they're going kind of above and beyond what they've done in the past. And they're renewing for 5 years, and in addition to the cash donation that they've provided in the past, they're also providing some additional resources for through their billboards that they have around the Broken Arrow area so that we can advertise programs, events, and things of that nature with regards to the PAC and the district. So we're really, really excited to have Greg Graham here with us this evening, and I wanted to recognize his partnership and dedication to the district, long-standing partnership, and it's just they're such a nice, great partner to help us with furthering some of the goals of the district through their donations and their resources.
Okay, are there any questions? I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the renewal advertising agreement between Broken Arrow Public Schools and the First National Bank and Trust of Broken Arrow. This agreement shall extend for a term of 5 years beginning July 1, 2016, or the date the advertisements are installed on the equipment and ending on the 5th anniversary of the commencement date. There is no cost to the district. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes, and Mr. Graham, I would certainly like to recognize you for all that you and certainly First National Bank has done for the school district over the years. It's much appreciated. Thank you.
Ms. Hall-Handy, were those typically 3-year agreements?
Yes, they're typically 3-year agreements, and Mr. Graham, and his desire to show his partnership with the district, offered to renew that for 5 years, and then additionally provide those billboard resources to the district, which are going to be very, very well utilized.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Do appreciate it.
The next item under, well, actually, let me go back here.
Where are we going?
Hang on.
30.
31.
30.
Yeah, is item number 30, Miss Natalie Ena.
But doesn't that become 33 now?
Well, actually, it does, 33. So we're moving down one.
We're not renumbering, okay? We're going with 30.
Each item will move in its number. So we are on 33, the next one will be 32, and so forth. If you want to make that notation, certainly feel free to do so.
Number 30.
Good evening. What you have before you, my first item tonight, is a request to modify, increase the general fund expenditure budget. As of to date, these are the revised allocations that we have as of today. The only outlier to that is the only non-state change that I'm requesting is in regards to the Schusterman Foundation donation that the board approved last month. And this is just allowing me to budget that $12,500 donation for the purchase of the robotics kits. All of the other projects you see listed there are in regards to the state allocated funds we receive, and Dwayne is going to give you all an update on the most recent budget cuts.
And before, Mr. Thompson, you start, I seem to be running out of power here within just a few percentage. So if we have someone from technology,
We have to go get him.
okay, okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay, briefly, I'll just run through as Natalie has a request for the amount for the midterm adjustment and all those items that weren't known at the budget. Next month, we will have adjustments on revenue for what we will be receiving due to the budget cuts. And I just want to quickly run through there and kind of give you a little bit of information about that. A few things are that we very much appreciate Superintendent Hoffmeister and the State Board for giving us the information in a clear and understandable manner, but also looking for avenues to make as least impact into the classroom as possible, and I'll cover that a little bit. And I also want to make sure that everybody has in mind, she wasn't involved in the budget process, but her responsibility is to make the necessary budget cuts to adhere to the shortfall. So while she's in the paper discussing the budget cuts, that's not really what she would prefer to do. But as we go through there, one of the things we have received is, on the new allocation is the reduction in state aid. And basically that works out to be about $23 a weighted ADM. So that works out to be about $662,946. So that's our portion of the state aid reduction. Then there's a 3% reduction in the flex benefit allowance. So we receive money based on the number of premiums that we pay on behalf of our employees. We receive that money. So that will be a reduction of 3%. Again, I don't have the exact amount on that since that allocation has not come out. There are other individual allocations or special allocations that the majority of which we don't receive any funds, or two of the larger one, which would be RSA and the ACE remediation. We've already received all the funds. They've already distributed, so that, it's impossible for them to cut. So the three remaining items is alternative ed will lose 3%. Then staff development was cut by 50%. So that number is known, and that's $57,205. So we are in the process of reviewing all the remaining staff development that we have to make sure we have contracts in place and that all the purchase orders are in place. And then after that, then Cabinet will be reviewing any staff development from that point forward in relation to that item. So those are the general fund items that directly will relate to our reduction. We anticipate when it's all said and done, that'll be about $1,050,000 hit to the general fund. So as we go through, there's a lot of discussion about those cuts, a lot of I guess angst about what is or isn't going to happen. As the board knows, that is why we try to maintain the maximum fund balance allowed, which is the 14%, which we do have. So that's a positive. We also have in place a one-time payment that we have at our discretion. So there's there's positive things with that, and that's what we're trying to focus on as much as we can. And as we move forward, our goal is not to impact programs and obviously there will be adjustments that have to be made, but we'll look those through attrition. So once we know the actual dollar amounts, what I have is just the estimate. Once we know the exact amounts, we will be communicating to staff as to all of these things. And one part of the picture that you have to look at is you have these reductions, but there's also bond funds that we are still in the process of implementing. And so the tendency is when there's cuts to start looking at, they were able to redo a parking lot, but they can't replace the first grade teacher, and understand that they're not the same pot of money, and they're not. So there will be things that are going on with bond dollars as we proceed into building a new elementary and a variety of things, updating Sequoia, so forth, that can't be compared to the operational dollars. And so we'll try to do our best to identify that. The other cuts that will impact us, but it comes out of child nutrition, is they eliminated the state's portion of the state matching for lunch. And so that would hit the child nutrition fund for about $40,000 in that. Now, we are the flow through for the National Board Teacher bonus that the state distributed. And that was one of the line items that was reduced by 3%. So we have a list of those individuals who qualify. We will be sending them a notice just in case they don't know, but that dollar amount will be reduced by 3%. So that will impact them personally, but since we're just a flow through of the district, it's a reduction of overall, but not to us as a district. Now, the bonus in itself was designed to be a certain dollar amount. It's never been that amount, so it fluctuates between year to year. So it'll be impossible for me to be able to tell those individuals it's going to be X number of dollars because I won't know that until they make the distribution. But that was one of the items that they chose to make a reduction. But as we communicate out, one of the things, several of the things, and I'll just reiterate those, that's the purpose of having a large fund balance, is to be able to absorb these type items. Second part is that's why we've done the stipend and have flexibility into the future. But some of the things that they're going to hear are fearful. There probably will be districts, and I'm not sure if there'll be any in this area, but there probably are some districts that won't make it. This cut they will be into the deficit, and they'll have to look at other options. The other thing is, and I anticipate this, is that there will be districts that will have to request their board to do a waiver of the fund balance size. For instance, we have our board policy says we can't have a fund balance less than 5%. Okay, so if we were close to 5% and having this reduction, we would have to come to you, I would have to come to you and request a waiver of that percentage because we would be under the 5% minimum that you have set. Obviously, that doesn't apply to us because we have a higher fund balance than that, but all those things cause anxiety and concern. So we're going to try to do our best to resolve those with communication. We're going to communicate also to the principals that we are more than willing to come out and meet with staff, groups, whatever that needs, so they can ask whatever questions they have. The big question that will be on our mind that we don't know is this the only cut that will happen? If crude oil stays at $33, I don't know. But this is what we have today, and we'll see what happens moving forward for the rest of the year, as well as when legislative session hits, will this be the only cut or will there be one into the next year? But all those things we'll be able to adjust to with, as I mentioned, the fund balance and the things that are non-reoccurring, and we'll be able to evaluate, prioritize, and be able to move forward where some districts won't have that option. So while we're not excited about losing $1 million in cuts, it is manageable for us, and we will be, because one of the things we were talking about today in cabinet is, just to put in perspective, $1.05 million is less than 1% of our total budget, because we'll spend about $114 million in the general fund this year. And so we will take steps to implement whatever cuts we need to or adjustments and so forth, and we'll move forward trying to keep every program that we have and do as much as we possibly can to deflect that from the classroom. But if there's additional cuts, then we'll evaluate that. And so I'm trying to cover a lot of bases here with the update, but hopefully answer some of the questions that you have, kind of ease some of the minds that may be in the audience of concerns that they have. But we will be spending a lot of time on our end discussing where we are financially as opposed to others, and why we're able to handle this where others may not be able to.
Mr. Thompson, I want to thank you for certainly being proactive. I think that is critical at this time when we have the budgetary reductions we know are forthcoming, that our staff members understand, not necessarily that any of us have to agree with it, but certainly we need to understand it for what it is. And so as we move forward, I think the more that we can be solution-oriented and work towards the greater good, certainly students, programs, those kinds of things are first, but the greater whole to the organization is certainly critical as well. And I know you, along with your staff, do a great job of that. But the more we can communicate to our staff, tell our story, then the misinformation won't be out there that drive the fear.
And again, it's just different between every district. So not every district has our fund balance, a lot of those features. And so, and we know, and I'll be honest with you, we know that this is like the 7-year itch or whatever. There's going to be a cycle of boom, and then there'll be another cycle of cuts, and it just is historically there's a cycle, and so you wonder why sometimes we're conservative, and that's why. And so we plan and prepare for these things to happen, and then when they do, you're able to move on and so forth. So,
are there other questions or comments? Thank you.
You're welcome.
We do have this item that requires action.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the request to increase the general fund operating budget by $969,176.95. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson? Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item on the agenda, Ms. Eno.
Okay, so the next item just goes through the financial position of the district as of the end of December. Our adjusted allocation is now $47.8 million. As Dwayne mentioned, this is about a $663,000 decrease from what we were expecting for our adjusted midterm allocation. We did receive some ad valorem funds in general building and sinking fund from Wagner County in December, but we expect to receive our big Tulsa County payment this week, so you'll see that reflected in January's reports. In building fund, so far you can see our revenue stream has been very small so far in this fund. Our ad valorem will give us a little bit of cushion in that fund, but so far we're just living off our fund balance as well as the back taxes that we've received from ad valorem, as well as a few local dollars in donations. Child nutrition, our revenue collections have been strong and consistent from where we were last year. As Dwayne mentioned, the federal matching did take a cut of about $39,000, so that'll affect that category of collections. But child nutrition is pretty self-sufficient as far as what they collect, and their expenditures usually align pretty well to their revenue collections. General fund expenditures, so far to date, everything is pretty consistent. The one area that we will be monitoring quite heavily is in the 500 category. That is where we code staff development and professional development. And as that allocation was cut in half, basically, we're going off what has been encumbered to date. Luckily, we did have a bit of carryover from previous year in that category, so everything going forward will be examined on a case-by-case basis. Building fund expenditures, the building fund has remained relatively conservative so far this year. Luckily, we've had a pretty mild winter and we haven't had any massive snow and ice need from our maintenance department, so our expenditures are pretty well on track right now. Like I said, our ad valorem collections will give us a pretty good boost in this fund, but we are staying very conservative because we did have some one-time expenditures last year that ate into some of the fund balance, so we're steadily trying to build that back up in building fund. Child nutrition, so far everything is pretty consistent with last year. Our food expenditures haven't really even caught up with where we were last year, which is a good thing. Food prices haven't fluctuated to the level we were seeing them last year, and they have also had a pretty favorable year as far as their workers' comp expenditures not being as high as they were last year. And as you can see, we're still estimating a $14 million fund balance, but you know, we'll be evaluating that very closely as we get more information on our financial position from the state.
Are there any questions? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Ms. Donna Dollahan.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to present the Treasurer's Report as of the end of December. The cash balances report shows a total of $19,757,000 in assets for the district. Included in this figure are investments that total $12,490,000. Our fund security and deposit report shows a total of $39,728,000 in collateral pledged to Broken Arrow schools. Our deposits that require collateral total $12,460,000, leaving an available balance of collateral in the amount of $27,268,000.
Are there questions? Thank you.
In the activity funds at the end of December, receipts totaled $3,821,000. Disbursements totaled $2,965,000, leaving a cash balance in the activity funds of $2,703,000.
Questions on this one? Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item, Ms. Kathy Metavelis.
Good evening. The first item is the encumbrance reports for all funds. Date range is December 10th through January 7th, December 10th, 15 through January 7th, 16. Total encumbrances for which I'm requesting approval tonight is $861,498.02.
I would entertain any questions.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the encumbrance reports for all funds for the 2015-16 fiscal year. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Next item.
Next item is the change order report reflecting change orders from December 10th, 2015 to January 7th, 2016. These reports reflect a decrease of $163,567.51.
Okay, any questions on these? I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the change order reports for general fund, cooperative fund, building fund, workers' compensation, bond funds, gift funds, and child nutrition fund for the 2015-16 fiscal year. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ed Fager.
Good evening. President Kelly, members of the board, Dr. Mendenhall. I'm bringing a new policy to you tonight. This is the new item number 39, was number 36. The new policy is number 4335 that we're proposing. It covers student organizations, groups, and clubs. It's intended to clarify the distinction between curriculum-based, school-sponsored student organizations and non-curricular independent student-organized organizations. It establishes guidelines for the formation of both types of these student organizations, and it clarifies the role of school employees with respect to the different types of student organizations. This policy also establishes the district's intent to comply with the dictates of the U.S. Constitution and the Federal Equal Access Act as they relate to student activities and organizations. With the passage of the new policy, it is our intent to repeal policy number 2190, which deals with the use of school facilities by student organizations, as it would be obsolete with the passage of the new policy. I've submitted the policy for review by the district's legal counsel.
Okay, and this is a first reading, so we're not taking action here
Yes.
this evening. So if there are questions, certainly board members can refer those directly to you. Is
That's
that correct?
correct.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
The next item on the agenda, Mr. Dwayne Thompson.
Okay, tonight we have a resolution to set a sale date for the $20,925,000 bond sale. In order for us to receive the funds in April, the financial advisor is suggesting either February 17th, 18th, or 19th. It would be a noon meeting. That's where we would receive bids on that amount, and you would then take action on those bids as we've done in the past. So basically, I would answer any questions and see what the board's preference on a date is.
Okay. 17th, 18th, or 19th. Actually, the 18th or 19th would be best for me, but certainly want to open it up. And if there are any that have a concern, we just need to have a quorum, so.
I won't be available any of those days.
I'm good either one.
I'm good with all those dates.
Okay,
Either way. So Thursday, if it
Thursday.
works best for you.
Thursday
then
would be
let's do
good.
Thursday.
The 18th.
Yep.
Okay, so we would need a,
Yes,
yes, at noon, we would need a motion to that effect.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so I would go ahead. You have a question?
I was just going to make a motion.
Okay, go.
Make a motion to accept February 18th at noon to be the date to establish to sell the bonds.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve a resolution for the Board of Education members to consider and take action on a resolution determining the maturities of and setting the date of February 18th at noon for the sale of the $20,925,000 general obligation combined purpose bonds of the Broken Arrow Public School District and designated bond counsel for this issuance of bonds. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Miss Kelly?
Yes.
Karen, can you send us a calendar invite for that, please? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda?
As you heard from Ms. Cook, we had met related to what we needed to change for the embedded collaboration, and you heard the percentage or the approval vote that was held for the teaching staff, so which was 92.6. So we're asking the board to ratify that agreement with a change in that language. I would say, as I always appreciate the meetings that we have, we discussed issues and options and came up with what we felt was the best solution. And so, as you can see, the individuals voting felt that way as well. So,
Okay. I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second?
We have a motion and second to approve the ratification of the revised language in the negotiated agreement with the Broken Arrow Education Association for the 2016-2017 school year. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Miss Kelly?
Yes. And the next item?
okay, the last item I have, and it seems a little odd, but basically what we're trying to do is clarify the student grade levels at particular campuses. And so what will happen, and this relates to our accreditation officer, if, for instance, we had this year, we would move, well, let's say we moved a special needs class that was a pre-K to an elementary to be, which was more appropriate, if those student at that grade level is not listed on the State Department as an approved grade level, then you're not able to count those students. And so, and I'll give you a, for instance, at the high school when we turned in, we said, well, we're going to have it as 10th through 12th. Well, we have some special needs students that are 9th grade that are at that campus. We also roll into the high school, the Alternative Academy and Margaret Hudson, and those two programs serve 9th graders as well. So we had to do, we got a waiver from the state to be able to do that for this year. So what we're really not changing what we're doing. What we're doing is clarifying, and then also giving particularly special needs, the special ed department, the opportunity to have some programs potentially at different places. So we try to cover a lot of options. And so are we changing pre-K to have kindergarten? No. But there may be a DDK that may be appropriate space-wise or for those students to be at a pre-K in the future. This would give us a latitude to do that and not come back to the board. Then the same is true of possibly having a pre-K at an elementary campus that has, so we included that, and then of course you saw we had the high school with 9th grade. So that's the sole purpose, is to be able to adapt to the needs of where we need programs as well as space, and be able to meet the criteria of accreditation, because when we go through that process, if we don't tell them, and I'll just use the high school, if you don't tell them the 9th grade is there, then those students won't be allowed to be counted at that particular campus. And so we don't want, obviously we don't want to do that, so we're trying to cover as many bases as we possibly can.
Any questions, further questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and second to approve the grade level changes to the early childhood centers, elementary schools, and the Broken Arrow High School. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Miss Kelly?
Yes. The next item is new business. Seeing that we do not have any new business, we'll move to the executive section.
Make a motion to move to executive session.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve entering into executive session to discuss the purchase of appraisal of real property pursuant to Oklahoma Statute Title 25, Section 307B3, and to discuss the superintendent contract pursuant to Oklahoma Statute Title 25, Section 307B1 and B7 of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
I would entertain a motion.
Motion return to open session.
Second.
There's a motion and second for the board to return from the executive session back to the open session. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson? Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. I would, at this time, we're moving to item number 43. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Would you please read those minutes?
The Board of Education and Dr. Jared Mendenhall and Michelle Birdwell entered into executive session at 6:55 p.m. to discuss the purchase or appraisal of certain real property in accordance with State Statute 25 OS Section 307B3 of the Oklahoma Meeting Act and pursuant to Oklahoma State Title 25 Section 307B1 and 7 of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act to discuss the superintendent contract. Michelle Birdwell departed at 7:20 p.m. and Dr. Jared Mendenhall departed at 7:24 p.m. The Board of Education returned to open session at 8:41 p.m. This constitutes the minutes of the executive session.
Thank you. The next item?
Make a motion to approve.
We need a second.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry.
Oh.
We are on
Number
item number
43,
43.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So we had a motion and we need a second.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and second to approve extending the superintendent's employment contract for up to 3 fiscal years, beginning with the 2016-17 fiscal year, subject to a mutually acceptable and fully executed written employment contract, which is to be submitted to the board for action at a future board meeting. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson? Yes. Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item, adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and second to adjourn. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson? Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.